Hey everybody, this is Blue. This is going to be a difficult video to make. I have been rehearsing this in my head all morning because certain things have to be said in a certain way. I've been going through a little bit of a transition politically lately. I've been seeing a lot more, political views and all that. We're heading into elections and all that. And I discovered that I am no longer a liberal-leaning moderate. Now, what that means is that politically, I was more of an independent thinker. I looked at both sides of the story of any issue. And sometimes I did side with the conservatives, Republicans, but a majority of the time, I sided with the liberal Democrats. Okay? That's changed, unfortunately. I now consider myself a conservative-leaning moderate. The reason why I have changed is of the extremism on both sides. And I think it is more rampant on the Democratic liberal side, and I am not wanting to support some of those ideals, and so I found myself being more conservative than liberal. Does that mean that all my stances have changed? No, very few have changed, actually. I am still a supporter of abortion rights. I believe that abortion should stay legal in the counts of medical, rape, and incest. Okay? So there, I still lean a little bit more towards the liberal left on immigration rules and laws that they want to propose. Still more independent on gun control and that. But the social issues is where I'm having a lot of issues. Just like what's going on in Canada right now, they are trying to pass some laws where you gotta watch really what you say about people that have different identities as you. In Hollywood, identity politics is just being shoved down our throats in movies and all that. They are race and gender swapping established characters, and they are intentionally, I feel, destroying our old models in pop culture. And it's just not sitting very well with me, and so I have been going against more of the liberal democratic ideals when it comes to that. Now, I support the LGBT communities. Okay, did you notice some letters not mentioned there? I will support homosexuals, gays, lesbians, bisexuals. No problem. I am an ordained minister, and I became an ordained minister to marry off members of those communities that were having a hard time finding a minister. So, I mean, that's not changing. It's not going to change. I have a problem with the rest of the communities involved there. Transgendered people, unfortunately, their activists have been rather irritating to me. They are targeting schools, and they are trying to convince kids that they are not the gender assigned at birth. So the trans communities are being overwhelmed by kids who don't know what their gender is, and all of a sudden they're going, well, I'm trans boy, trans girl, and all that. And I think that this gender dysphoria is causing a lot of problems, where there are parents out there that are changing the gender of their kids on the paperwork. And so there are parents out there that have said that their 5-year-old child is no longer the gender that they were born with, that they were another gender. 5-year-old kids they're doing this to. And so, you know, hey, if you're a father and you were disappointed you didn't get a son, all of a sudden you can say your daughter is a boy and hey, you're all good now. We have activists that are promoting using hormone blockers and all that on children, and I am extremely against that. I believe that there should be an age, in most cases there are age limits, but they are using some loopholes and all that. And so I think that the transgenders are causing a lot of troubles that need to be stopped. I am completely against gender fluidity. Non-binary, I don't believe in. Because these things can change multiple times during the day, all it is your personality. That's all I see it as. So just because you're more creative doesn't mean that you're this gender, and if you have a bad day, all of a sudden you're this gender. No, it's just you're in a different mood. Your moods are not your genders. And that is the lead-in to this video. I've had a history of people using sexuality and all that that really seem to go against the basic theme of paganism. There used to be a balance in paganism. Men and women were different but equal. And we honored both men and women equally. If you look at Wicca, you know, they talk about the Lord and the Lady. They are equal. And in my experience on social media over the decade, I have seen a lot of women in particular, because people like Starhawk started to infuse their feminist goals in with their belief system. Starhawk is one who created the goddess tradition. And so then I've been seeing a lot of left-leaning ladies just seem to focus on the goddess. And I've called a lot out over the years, going, you know, in a couple months I could see you posting maybe 10, 20 images on your Facebook, you know, where goddess bless this, goddess that, but not one God post. And when I confronted them about that, well, I honor the God, and says, no, you don't. You don't show any outward honoring of the God. All you do seem to do is honor the goddess. And I've called this out. We, in today's society, we have a lot of people that view male energy as negative. You know, oh, it's great to be the mother, divine feminine energy. You know, embrace your feminine side, everybody's saying. And people, channels like Spirit Science, they put the male energy as aggressive, warlike. And they are basically shutting out any positive views on male energy. And it's getting worse, I believe. And so that's something that I've been working on for years now. But with this new gender identity chaos going on, you know, worldwide, I fear the next step. And that is people saying that various energies in paganism are no longer binary. We have a history in paganism, unfortunately, where people are swapping genders for different spiritual entities. I mean, I unfortunately know one person that was decided that they were going to follow the Holy Trinity, you know, the Christian Holy Trinity, and they were going to make the Holy Spirit feminine. And, you know, that don't work. And, you know, to everybody, they should be able to follow their own beliefs. Yes. But there comes a point where your beliefs are too screwy to go straight, to lead you in a positive manner. And that is one of the reasons why I have left the liberal left side, is because they are doing what a lot of people call the Victimhood Olympics. You know, where they're grabbing anything and everything, looking for something to complain about, something where they can accuse other people of being oppressors. Their nihilistic views, they have to try to become the biggest, best victim. So all of a sudden they are looking for anything and everything to make them stand out so that they could possibly declare themselves as a bigger victim. And that's why this gender dysphoria is going on. And we have a lot of people declaring that they are non-binary, and they're coming up with some asinine gender identities. And I mean, there are people saying that they're dog self, bug self, they're an insect, they're demon self, they're clowns. These are their new genders because they're saying that it's a socially constructed idea. No, those are just your personalities, and some of you need to get one. They need to have some people going, hey, buddy, you know, Phil over there, you know, don't you think that calling yourself a demon self is just a wee bit weird? Maybe you should like tone it down a little bit. But they can't, because if somebody was to say, hey, why don't you tone it down a little bit, they're oppressing you. And so they are too afraid to do anything. Yeah, I know, I'm rambling on a little bit. But the problem that I have here is that people, I'm afraid that people are going to start putting their non-binary gender crap into paganism. Because they have become so close-minded activists towards this concept that anything and everything that goes against their screwed up beliefs, they're going to twist and turn. Right here is Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. I grabbed this because of, it's an example that I'm going to use. Okay, bleeding hearts. Alright, the first thing it says is gender, feminine. I fear that there's going to be some non-binary that's going to go through something like Cunningham's and going, well, you know what? Because the flower of the bleeding heart is red, it's male. And then let's go with lemongrass. It's supposed to have a masculine gender to it. Well, they're going to say, well, that's a sweet smelling. That is more of a, add any, what are they called now? Neo-pronouns to it. And so they're going to go through and they're going to screw up everything. You know, I believe that everything in here is an energy. It's neutral. It does not have a male. It does not have a female. I believe that everything's neutral. Okay. And then all of a sudden we're going to have somebody come through here and do the, well, I'm sorry, that's more of a bug self energy and not a male energy. You know, that's a they, not a she. Could you imagine, this pop thought is the thought that popped into my head that's making me do this video. Could you imagine going to an event, a pagan event, you know, and they are casting a circle, and they're calling out the corners. And, you know, the corners even have genders, right? Because they are elemental energies. Could you imagine if somebody got upset because somebody declared that the West Tower is now a... No, what's one I haven't used yet? A they. Because now these people have turned they into a singular pronoun. Excuse me. And because they are coming up with these pronouns fast as heck, it can cause, I believe, a lot of problems, a lot of confusion in the pagan and witch communities. I believe that we kind of have to gatekeep. And, you know, this is the positive side of gatekeeping. And that is, you know, we are going to try to show some openness and acceptance to those that are new to our paths. But there comes a time where we have to go, no, you're not going to go through Cunningham's book and declare half of these to be dog selves or cat selves. Okay? We got to, unfortunately, prevent something like that. Because how can we take, or how can others take the witch community seriously when we have a blue-haired witch going on with the, what is it, Zerzay pronouns, and throwing in neo-pronouns for half the things listed in a ritual? How can you, okay, how can you support the divine Zay? Okay? Never had to, but you could be forced to go into a ceremony and have to somehow find the understanding of what a Zay is and then embrace its divine self. Isn't that, in my eyes, ludicrous? I know I'm sounding rather hateful. I'm not. I am trying to protect what is dear to me. My challenge for all those that may be non-binary genders and in the pagan witch communities, define your pronoun. Define male and female energies to a strong degree. Because you cannot say that something is not a feminine energy unless you know what feminine energy is. You cannot say that something is this or is not that unless you have it firmly defined. These people that are grabbing onto this non-binary stuff, they have declared and honestly appeared that they can make these up daily. At one time, I read a story, there are at least 72 genders. What happens when they start applying those genders to our craft, our beliefs? For those of you that follow the Norse pantheon, it's like She-Hulk. No, She-Thor. You know, when in the movie, yeah, whatever. Thor: Love and Thunder, they had the female Thor. Okay. How are you going to feel if somebody was to say that Freya, beautiful goddess, is no longer feminine? That she defines herself as, pick a pronoun, you know, and all of a sudden they just tear apart because they add their neo-pronouns, their personal pronouns to the whole pantheon. And all of a sudden, you know, the structure that we had is fragmented. And I guess that scares me a bit, because I have seen how these people that use these neo-pronouns and have the non-binary genders and trans this and trans that, and I got to add this one in there. There are people that are saying that they're trans species, that they're no longer white, but they're black. We have people that are saying that they're a different age and all that. It is sad. There has been videos where there are people of the African American, the colored communities, they're saying that they are Wakandan. Wakanda doesn't exist. It's a comic book fictional land. And there are people that are proclaiming that they're Wakandan. I have Scottish and Irish descent. I have also some Welsh and some Swedish and German in me as well. But I could claim all my Celtic associated history and go that I'm a Celt. They want us to accept everybody on whatever they say they are. You know, I identify as this, and thus everybody has to respect their identity. And no, absolutely not. Respect is earned. It's not given. You can't go around and demand people to give you respect, because you have to show that you're worthy of it. And so when I've seen some videos of trans rights activists going around saying that people will respect their beliefs and they will fight for them. And so here they are. They are not willing to work with. They're willing to work against, fight against people. They are threatening violence if you do not respect them. Respect is earned. The neo-pronouns, personal pronouns, there are people that saying that they will punch people if they are misgendered. And so, how can you do this? If your gender changes multiple times in a day, how can anybody keep up? And there are people that they've done videos where they're wearing bracelets that are color-coded. So you got to know the color code and look at the bracelets to find out what their gender is. But if there is 72 genders out there, that's a lot of color code. And I'm going to go, I'm sorry, but that's mustard yellow. That's not gold. So I'm sorry. I didn't know that you were a blank, blank, blank. So, I'm digressing a little bit here, but sorry, phone. And so let me answer that real quickly. My better half is wanting to know if I wanted a caramel frappe from McDonald's. This is when you have a good person in your life. But how would you feel if somebody that identified as non-binary gender goes through and says that all of a sudden the things that you have believed for 20-some years is all of a sudden a different gender, one that you've never heard of? And, that's the bad thing, because, like, demon self-gender, it's not even 2 years old. Now, I do have to add one little thing to be historically correct. On this planet, there are multiple cultures that do have more than the 3 genders: male, female, neutral. Okay. There are Native Americans that had other genders where, if I'm remembering this right, it's like a double male gender and a double female gender. Those are part of their culture, and I will respect those as best as I can, because that is something that is established. But it is hard for me to go and accept somebody that goes that their gender is a clown and take them seriously. I don't want somebody that dresses up as a clown constantly, describes themselves as a clown as their gender, and then go and tell me that Boadicea was not a, or Boudicca, however you want to pronounce it, was not a Celtic female of historical value. I don't want that, because I'd swear, and I'd swear, if somebody ever went to me, I think I would just hit them hard, because that is a part of my heritage, because, like I said, I have Scottish, Irish, and that descent. And so, they're going to be messing with a lot of things that are part of our path, part of our beliefs. And I think that needs to be prevented. Gatekeeping can be a bad thing, but it could be a good thing if you're just trying to protect the lore. Which is what we talk about about the movies. Because, the Rings of Power right now is utterly ignoring the lore in Tolkien's world, and look how bad those programs are. They're crap. Now imagine somebody doing that, ignoring the lore of the Celtic path, the Norse path, or any other path and all that. I think you'd be angry. And because there are people like this, cultural appropriation, could be considered a little race baiting, and I'm sorry, that's an example here. Could you imagine a liberal that has all these weird views deciding that they wanted to know about, I can't think of the path, wanted to follow a more Egyptian or African of any type pagan system? All of a sudden, they are taking, I believe they're called Orshai, and perverting them. That would be wrong. But that's what they would be doing if they started to apply their non-binary, gender, transgender concepts to our paths. And again, I think it needs to be prevented. I would really like to know what you think, if you agree with me. I know that some of my views are not going to be very wonderful, but I would really like to hear what you have to say. So everybody, please take care. Be at peace.